Love. There are many kinds of love, and I've learned a certain amount about each of them. Elsewhere, I've talked at some length about one form, romantic love, that is, the love between two human beings, which often leads to their marriage or living together. And I will put that on one side now, but that still leaves huge swathes of human existence covered by various forms of love. There are obviously many objects of love: nature, God, other human beings, pets, hobbies, whatever. And one could talk about those. But what I think I'll just concentrate on are one or two things which I've learned through my life about my own experience of love and what it means. One is that the essence of love, I think, is, in a way, unselfishness. It's the curious feature of many animals to show care, affection, trouble, effort for other creatures without any expectation or requirement of return. You may receive return, but that isn't why you do it, and it doesn't entirely matter whether you get the return or not. So it's the outflowing of emotion and reason and action which helps and supports someone else or another living creature for itself. It's an end in itself. It's not a means to an end. As soon as love is calculating and means it's just a means towards a particular end, then it ceases to be what I term true love. It could be affection, it could be responsibility, but it's not this kind of love. The archetype, I suppose, of it is maternal love, as a mother for a child, often in the knowledge that the child won't reciprocate and will forget it and later on turn away, but there is this strong emotion to protect and bestow care and love on a child. So that's the first thing, what it is. The second thing is how it develops. I think many people, and I've talked about this to my wife, have the view that love is a kind of finite amount of energy and emotion one has, and there is what economists would call a zero-sum game. In other words, if you give your love to one person or one thing or one activity, then it will take away from other things. And a characteristic of that is, if you love one child, then you will diminish the love for other children. If you love one or two people, then you won't have the love for others. What I've discovered in my life, and my wife says she's also discovered, is that love is like many things. The more you use it, the more you activate it, the larger it becomes, not the lesser. So if you ring round love and say, I won't be loving towards so-and-so because I've run out of love for something else, then everything shrivels up. Love is like a fountain. Once it starts gushing, then it grows and grows. And through my life, I've had the enormous pleasure and privilege of finding more and more objects of love, more and more people who I find that I can use that word to about. And so love refreshes and grows like any organic object, like a tree or like a flower. And the taller and stronger it grows, the more it exists. And another thing I've learnt about love is that it springs up in unexpected places. You're going along doing something, and then suddenly something attracts your attention, catches your eye, whether it's a painting or a person or a piece of countryside, and you feel this kind of deep emotion towards that other. And it's not something, therefore, you can calculate. It's not something you can plan for. It's something which is beyond our control. Now, there are various theories as to why we love, whether it's some Darwinian protection mechanism for the individual, that they show love and others show love to them and so on. And that may be part of it. Another theory of Adam Smith, in his theory of moral sentiments, is that basically we have both self-love, loving ourselves, and therefore protecting and pursuing our own goals, and also social love. And social love, he mainly derives from the desire to be appreciated, to find ourselves reflected in the other, and to be esteemed and loved by them, so that social love, you love others and you feel good about yourself. That is certainly another feature of love, that when you are able to love a place, a person, whatever it is, then you feel better. It's like many things, that, like singing or walking or drinking tea, it does you good. Love does you good. And you can see that by its reverse. If you feel strong feelings of hate or envy or greed or any of these other things, you don't feel good about yourself, and you don't feel good at all. So I've found that the more I can show love, sometimes in obvious and larger ways, often in what Wordsworth describes as small, unremembered acts of kindness and of love. Unremembered, you don't remember them, but somehow they store up in your body. So all this conversation makes me sound like some medieval saint who goes around loving birds and animals and human beings and God and the rest. Obviously, that isn't true. I'm just as filled with resentment and other negative emotions as anyone else. And yet I do see that love, which you find everywhere, is enormously important for human beings. And that is perhaps the last point about finding it everywhere. Wherever I've been in the world, and I've travelled now through many countries and spent a great deal of time in some of them, like Nepal or China or Japan or Australia or India. Wherever I've gone, I've found these strong tendencies towards love. I've met people who have shown me kindness beyond any kind of reciprocation, who have shown me affection and deep emotion. And so, as an anthropologist, it appears to me that love is, alongside things like the desire for food or shelter or other things that anthropologists talk about, love is one of the really strong basic instincts of human beings, and one which when cultivated and matured and esteemed, can light the world in a way which almost nothing else can.